about promises unfulfilled being the basis for some members of parliament in the Ashanti region. And the data also shows that this year there have been some similar incidents in the eastern and central regions as well. We'll bring you the data tonight and also seek to get some perspective on why we are seeing this happen quite a lot and what the way forward ought to be. Is it just about protection for the MPs, or is it more to do with they managing expectations and promises as they make to the people? So that'll be for part one of the show today. That's what we'll deal with first of all here on the show. Then the second part of the show, we'll tackle something very, very important. You may have heard this week about a Ghanaian who has been convicted in the United States of America having something to do with money laundering and fraud. He has been telling his side of the story. Tonight we'll hear from Abdul Inusa. He's the son of the former member of parliament, Alhaji Inusa Fusheni. He will join us. He will join us for our conversations tonight and get to understand what really happened with that case. In fact, we just might start with him because he's joining us from West Virginia tonight. The story that's out, as was published, was that the Southern District of West Virginia, after 3 days of trial, a federal jury convicted him, that's Abdul Inusa, for his role in the Huntington-based scheme that defrauded individuals in multiple states through the use of false online persons. Now, that's what we know. We know sentencing will be done in November this year. It's raised a lot of eyebrows and questions. Tonight, we want to hear his story, what happened, and as he awaits sentencing, what his state of mind is on this matter. Abdul, thank you for joining us via Zoom tonight.
Very much, Senior Francis.
Okay, so a lot has been said relative to your case, and if you will permit me, may I just read what has been published so that we put the matter in context, and then you share with us tonight what your story is. So the story as was published, and let me be very clear, published 13th August this year on the website of justice.gov, says federal jury finds man guilty in fraud and money laundering scheme. Evidence at trial revealed that Inusa was part of a conspiracy that targeted victims using false personas via email, text messaging, and online dating and social media websites. From at least January 2018 through to at least December 2019, the scheme sought to induce victims into believing they were in a romantic relationship, friendship, or business relationship with the various false personas. The victims were persuaded to send money for a variety of false and fraudulent reasons for the benefit of the false personas. And at the end, the prosecution, in essence, argued that it was a painstaking investigation done between the U.S. Secret Service, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, as well as the West Virginia State Police and the South Charleston Police Department. So, Abdul, I ask you directly. We've heard what the prosecution have said and what has been published. We know that sentencing will be done in November. But what's your story? First of all, who are you?
My name is Abdul Hamid Inusa, and I came to United States of America to study environmental engineering, a graduate program.
If you could speak up a bit for me, I can hardly hear you.
I came to America in 2017, August 2017.
Okay.
To study environmental engineering, a graduate program. And I completed that program in 2019.
Okay, so you were there to go study, in essence?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And let's clear this out. You are the son of Alhaji Inusa Fusheni, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So you went there to study. So how are you embroiled in what we are seeing now?
Yeah. So from the communication you wrote, published by the Justice Department, you would have realized that there are two sides of. They've just summarized two different indictments into the publication. There is an indictment involving 9 to 10 people that I was not part, and that targets the romance scam. And there is an indictment of which I was the only person indicted on that indictment, which targets money laundering and conspiracy.
Okay. What I read was on just you.
Yes.
And the money laundering. Yes.
EU.
So what
So
happened?
that's what I'm trying to tell you, that that publication wouldn't have mentioned a different indictment, because those people were not indicted with me. There was an indictment which some way somehow links to mine, but that part of that indictment talks about romance scam that I had no idea about. But then my indictment simply talks about money laundering and conspiracy.
Okay, so let's deal with the two for which you talk about, money laundering and the conspiracy. You went there to study. So how did you get embroiled in money laundering and conspiracy?
Awesome. My entrepreneurial journey didn't start in America. I went to school in Ghana. In Ghana, I was selling drawing boards while in the university. I sold military-style chains and bracelets. From there, I continued my education in UK. In UK, I sold cars while a student. Cars such as Peugeot 407. I will do a dashboard conversion and send that car to Nigeria, because that car was favorable among people in Nigeria. So America is no different.
His Excellency, we all call him Madam Teresa.
Hello?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm listening.
So when I got to America, while a student, I still engaged in my business aspects, such as helping people, both home and United States, acquire vehicles through auctions and parts for cars they couldn't get in Ghana. I still bought those parts and sent to people in Ghana and Nigeria, and as well as America. I help people do that.
So that's for the company called Bitstaff Supply, is that it?
So Bitstaff Supply was incorporated in America.
Okay.
So when you start selling these stuff, it gets to a point where it becomes a full-fledged business. Then you will have to register and start paying taxes.
Okay.
That was when Bitstaff Supply was incorporated.
And it was incorporated in which year?
It was incorporated in 2018.
2018.
Yes.
Now, at what point did the $21,000 get wired to your company account?
Exactly. So this is in the indictment, the $21,000, somewhere 2018, a student wanted to purchase an auction car, approached me. I went to view the car. We agreed on how much he was willing to pay for the car. I bought the car with my auction documents and my company name, because you cannot do that as an individual. After doing it, he had his car. He drove his car from 2018 towards the end of 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. I graduated from school 2019. I left the state of West Virginia, so I was not in contact with anybody. So I wouldn't have known what ended up happening to the car or the person who owned the car. So I knew nothing of the car, but I knew of the money to buy the car, and I purchased the car.
So when this person came to you to buy the car,
yes,
and sent you the $21,000, did you do a background check on who you were selling this car to?
Yes, Mr. Francis. He was not the first person I bought a car for. Who was a student? I've bought cars for a number of students. It is not. I'm having interference with your.
Okay. I think that's been resolved. Please continue.
He is not the first student I bought a car for. I've bought a car for a number of students. I've bought cars off head for 7 students who were in my school. So he is not different. And international students buying auction cars, which are purely accident cars that you can repair for cheap, and then have a decent car to drive in school, is no news or alien to people in America or international community in America. So he's not the first. Yes, anybody who comes to me to buy a car, I ask questions. If my questions are answered honestly to my understanding, I will go ahead to buy the car.
Okay, so but in asking the questions alone, questions alone, does that satisfy due diligence? Did you do checks to see if this person's money may be of a certain funny character. He may be a student buying a car. That's true. But beyond checking that he's a student, did you check to see if these funds that were coming in were clean filtered funds or they were funny funds?
There was nothing of any indication that the money was funny. There was no indication that the money was funny.
I see. Now, I see here in the report three amounts: $48,000,
yes,
$21,000, and another $2,000. So the $2,000 is the Zelle wire transfer to you, obtained using the Mariama false persona. What's that about?
So I have never heard of any Mariama false persona until the case was being talked about in court. The $2,000 wire fraud through Zelle, right?
Yes.
Zelle is a platform just like all the mobile money platforms in Ghana. So MTN, Vodafone, whatever platform a person decides to use. At the time, I was living with my ex-girlfriend in the same apartment, which was my apartment, and living with a partner, finances change hands in such a way that you could give your wife or your girlfriend money to hold on for you. So I requested the money back, and Zelle is like mobile money. When she decides to send me the Zelle, she gave me the phone and said, "Oh, just take it through Zelle." So I did. And that was the wire fraud because the money came through a wire transmitting service.
I see.
It is classified as wire fraud.
So for all these transfers into your, and I take it this is your business account, isn't it?
No.
Personal account.
That's my personal account.
So the BitSouth supply account is the same as your personal account?
No. The Mariama, the $2,000 wire fraud is not talking about a business. The 2,000 wire fraud is a girlfriend sending a boyfriend money.
So how is that fraud? So how is your girlfriend sending you money fraud then?
I had no idea.
Do you know what your girlfriend was doing as a profession?
Yes, she was a student.
Okay, but that's not a profession.
No, that's if you're a student, you're a student.
And you don't know the source of the funds of the $2,000.
I just told you the 2,000 was my money initially.
Okay, that's your sending to you.
When the investigation happened, right? With the first indictment of 27th April. With this indictment,
yes,
there was nothing of $2,000 or $48,000 or $12,000 in there.
Right?
I
see.
It clearly stated $20,000, receipt of $20,000, and alluding to the fact that $20,000 was wire fraud. Was receipt of stolen money. Okay. Upon realizing that the money was actually meant for a car, I was asked to take a plea for receipt of stolen money. I argued with my attorneys that no, I cannot take a plea to something I never did with a criminal intent. There is a car. I bought a car. There is a receipt for it. I was then told, if you don't take the plea deal, we will supersede the indictment. While that was going, this happened for over 1.5 years. While this was going on, they realized there was a $2,000 Zelle transfer to my personal account. They didn't only look at my business account. They looked at my personal account and my business account. There was a $2,000 Zelle transfer to my personal account.
Okay.
And that was made by my girlfriend with his consent. He asked me to send $2,000 to myself. So that was broken down into 2 to 3 counts. First count was identity theft, because then if you use your girlfriend's account to send yourself money, you are now acting in place of your girlfriend, and that would have been identity theft. This had to do with my personal account.
And then there was the BitSav one as well. Okay.
She was brought to court to testify. She testified that she gave me permission to do that transaction. So that identity theft was dropped, but the 2,000 was kept. And because that transaction went through a wire transmitting service, just like mobile money, that becomes wire fraud.
I see. So in all of this, you had your day in court, didn't you? The jury heard your case.
Yes, I did.
Have you been convicted and deemed guilty pending sentencing? So
the third superseding indictment, which was the fourth one, came with 8 counts. As to the initial indictment of 2 counts, that was dropped all together, and new charges were made, which was 7 counts. So out of the 7 counts, while trial was going on, 1 count was dropped due to lack of evidence. Remaining 7 charges. Those 7 charges were not independent charges. They were charges relating to each other. So I was found not guilty for 3 charges and guilty for some 4 charges.
Now, for those charges that you were found guilty, did you plead guilty?
No. This is jury's verdict.
Okay, so the jury's verdict is that you're guilty.
For those charges, they thought I was guilty.
Okay. Are you appealing that decision?
Thank you. So after that, there was no... What happens is, after the court trial sessions, there will be series of meetings between the government, myself, my attorney, and the court to discuss the way forward. The way forward could be an appeal. The way forward could be taking a plea deal. The way forward could be exchanging information for any offer that you want to do.
So which of these are you considering?
At this moment, I cannot give that information out because my lawyer wouldn't be happy me giving that information out. But the matter of the fact is that there is no conviction.
All right.
I haven't been taken
because
through
there were some reports that indicated that you were staring down a 50-year maximum jail term. Is that accurate?
No. I don't know where they got the 50-year from.
But for the offense that you have been found guilty of, what are you liable to?
The maximum would have been 12 months to 24 months.
For wire fraud?
Not wire fraud. With the sentencing guideline, the way I'm just going to explain in a layman's term how I understand it. For those charges that I was found guilty, they are dependent on each other. So the sentencing guidelines classify them as one offense. So you can be found guilty for a number of years, for example, wire fraud, and then another years for money laundering. So they could all come under one sentencing guideline.
So Abdul, here's where we are. All these that you've explained to me, you had your day in court, the jury heard it based on which they took a decision. You say appeal is one option on the table for you. Do you have new body of evidence that would help you to appeal the matter in court if you deem fit to do so?
Bodies of evidence?
Yes.
I have.
Fresh evidence, different from what you've already presented?
Yes.
I see. So do I take it that you will appeal this decision?
Yes, definitely. Yes, it's an option I can take. So why not?
Okay. Now, you will understand that typically when any case comes up, it may be of interest, but yours is special because of who your father is. A known legislator in this country. Since this matter came up, I'm just wondering, how has family taken all of this? And how's your father also relating with you based on this?
I mean, he took it as a father, and then he's been affected gravely. I mean, the publications is one example, and the fact that even if he believes that his son did not do that as a father, he's still pained, and he's not only pained as a father, he's also pained as a best friend, because he's my friend and he's my best friend. So he's affected first and foremost as a father, and second, as a friend. And the whole family, obviously, they are devastated with this news.
Personally, for you, is there any part in this entire episode that you think you may have done something wrong?
I'm not the kind of person to shy away from responsibilities. Maybe my due diligence in receiving that money was not done properly. I'm not denying the fact that I took that money to buy that vehicle. Yes, I did. I did my due diligence, but maybe it was just enough, and that's my mistake, and I own up to it.
So, as things stand now, you have to stay in the country till the sentencing is done, I suppose?
Yes.
Do you have your passport with you, or it has been seized?
I'm not a citizen, so it has to be seized.
Okay, so it means as things okay, but are you in employment? Are you just sitting home waiting for sentencing? What's going on?
There are a lot of things I do that might not be favorable for me to talk about right now. But then I'm not just sitting down waiting for sentencing. In fact, as part of my the conditions, I can seek employment, I can go to work, I can go to school, I can exercise, I can do anything within the conditions that has been set for me to stay at home. And because I'm an international student in a country that is not my home country, there are certain legalities around it, in the sense that the prosecution is scared of the fact that I might flee this country. So there are certain parameters within which I can't move around, and that's just the legal framework of legal frame that things work around, and that's it.
Are you worried that the sentencing could see you locked up for a number of years, or you're confident that you will be vindicated?
No, I'm not worried at all. I've never been worried. I'm not worried for the mere fact that I'm fully convinced that I'm innocent. I've been offered plea deals. One of the plea deals was 6 months. And the 6 months was not even looking at jail term. It was looking at probation, where you will serve the term at home and you will still be able to do whatever your life was involved in. But I turned it down for the mere fact that I am innocent. I wouldn't take a plea deal if I've not done any crime, irrespective of how juicy the plea was. And besides, if you're not a criminal, why are you taking a plea deal? Let me go to trial. At least my peace of mind is more important than taking an easy way out. Usually
when they offer you a plea, there's often a trade-off. So if they are offering you a plea, what are they asking from you?
First and foremost, you must accept the plea before you know what is being requested or what is the trade-off. If I didn't accept the plea, I wouldn't know what the trade-off was.
I see. So we're told that sentencing will be in November, on November 21. And I'm reading the publication here. It says you face a maximum penalty of 50 years. You say that's not the case. So
no.
Which one do I take? Because the prosecution says that's what you're facing. They confer the charges.
Sinaban, I'm the one talking to you right now.
Yes.
The prosecution is not the one talking to you. It's
That's
my
true.
case. I'm the one involved in it. The prosecution is not the one facing the judge. I am.
They are the ones who level the charge against you. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, and I'm telling you for a fact. Sentencing guideline is the first thing you look at with your attorney before you even step into court looking to go through a trial.
So you're saying they've lied in this publication?
Yes. I mean, that is the reason why that for the past 9 days it's been the headline in Ghana. Imagine they had said 6 months. Would it get the same attention it's getting now?
I see. Abdul, I want to say thank you to you for your time. You say family has been disappointed. Have you had to offer any kind of apology of sorts or any message to console them at this point? Because you can imagine the heat is a lot.
Yes. First and foremost, my apology goes to the people of Dagbon, where I come from, because they had high hopes that they send their son to America to acquire knowledge and return to contribute to the development of Dagbon. And secondly, to Ghana, the publication came out as the fact that I'm a Ghanaian, and it affects my country, and I'm a Ghanaian. That's my nationality, and I'm proud of it. So I know I have disappointed the people of Dagbon, and I've disappointed the people of Ghana, and I seek humbly that they realize this is a setback, and their son, brother, and cousin is not guilty. I'm innocent, and with time, this will be proven in court. As for my family, they are hurt. I totally understand, especially with the mere fact that my father is a public figure. Things are blowing out of proportion because of that, and I know how this might look on him. As a son, he still loves me. He shows me the love each and every single day. He speaks to me regularly just to make sure that my mental space or mental health is intact. And I'm very grateful. And I'm sorry to everyone, friends, that have caused any form of pain through this case.
Okay. We will await November 21. We'll closely follow up on this. But stay safe, Abdul. And thank you for granting us this interview tonight.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right. So that's Abdul Inusa, the son of Alhaji Inusa Fuseni. The story that's been out is that the federal jury has found him guilty in fraud and money laundering scheme. He says he has body of evidence, fresh evidence that he can use on appeal to go against this ruling that's been given by the jury on this. We will see what the picture will be like on November 21 in West Virginia in the United States of America. You're watching State of Affairs here on GH1 Television. I'm Francis Aban. The other part of our conversation tonight will be on the members of Parliament here in Ghana, and some of them being at the receiving end of attacks by their constituents. Why? Because of lack of infrastructure development that they promised the people before the polls. We will look at that tonight. But may I remind you that this show is brought to you with kind of sponsorship of MTN. MTN is everywhere you go, and Carbon Coffee. If you need to make an urgent call but realize that you don't have credit, or your very important conversation was cut short because you ran out of airtime, well, there's no need for all that stress, because all you have to do on MTN is to dial *506#, and then you get to borrow credits on MTN Extra Time. The best part is you can also borrow data by dialing the same number, *506#, and then you can bundle data whenever you run out to continue browsing as always. Your conversations don't need to end. Borrow extra time now and enjoy the things you love on your favorite network, MTN. Also, news for you from Carbon Coffee. Dear parents, why do you think milk is important in the family's meal, especially for adults and children above the age of 6 or even months? Because milk provides essential nutrients that enhance healthy growth. Carbo, our milk, is fortified with a unique blend of essential vitamins called Vita-Rich. The vitamins in Vita-Rich are essential for good eyesight development, fighting infections, building strong bones and teeth, and B9 for brain development. Help your loved ones support their growth with Carbo milk, which contains Vita-Rich in their meals. Carbo is also available in 5 delicious flavors and available in a shop near you. Carbo is definitely our milk. Now, there's a solid partnership made easy with Star Life Assurance. Get insurance anytime, anywhere when you dial *7373# or you download the MyStar mobile app. With *7373# and the MyStar app, you can buy and manage policies, pay premiums, apply for claims, and a lot more. Sign up today for insurance at your convenience with Star Life, your solid partner for life. Quick break now. When we return, we'll look at the MPs who are under siege. Their constituents are chasing them in the Ashanti and in the central region. What's going on? Is that a symptom of a bigger problem? We will analyze that with my panel who will join us today for this discussion. Stay with us.
Dad, including mocha, Carbo has 5 flavors: banana, strawberry, chocolate, coconut. What's the 5th one?
Banana.
Banana?
Okay, Dad. Including mocha, Carbo has 5 flavors: banana, strawberry, chocolate, and coconut. What is the 5th one?
Strawberry.
No.
Are you feeling hot?
Honey, including mocha, Cowbell has 5 flavors: strawberry, banana, choco malt, coconut. What's the 5th one?
Choco malt?
Hey!
Coconut!
Hey!
Nutritious and refreshing, Cowbell has a flavor for everyone.
They think I don't know.
This advert is FDA approved.
Water is life. Water gives life. Water moves through nature in a never-ending cycle. Observe the beauty of water as it flows all around us, refreshing and restoring. Gaze in wonder at the stillness and beauty of nature. There's harmony in nature everywhere around you. Water revitalizes the body and keeps you going strong. Water is life. Water gives life. Drink Awake Purified Drinking Water, one for life. So relax and unwind, and in the calmness of nature, find the rest you desire. For every bottle of Awake you buy, an amount to be donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. This advert is FDA approved.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. I'm Francis Aban. As I said, the next part of our conversation is on the members of Parliament who have been under siege in the last 6 months. We will bring you some of the cases, and then we will engage our panelists who have been kind enough to join us tonight. But if you need to make an urgent call but realize that you don't have credits, or you have a very important conversation that was cut short because you did run out of airtime, well, there's no need for all that stress, because all you have to do on MTN is to dial *506#, and then you get to borrow credit on MTN Extra Time. The best part is that you can also borrow data by dialing the number, that same number, *506#, and then you can bundle data whenever you run out to continue browsing as always. Your conversation don't need to end. Borrow extra time now and enjoy the things you love on your favorite network, MTN. MTN is everywhere you go. Well, for parents watching us tonight, why do you think milk is important in the family's meal, especially for adults and for children above 6? Well, because milk provides essential nutrients that enhance healthy growth. Cowbell milk is fortified with a unique blend of essential vitamins called Vitarich. Now, Vitarich are essential for good eyesight development, fighting infections, building strong bones and teeth, and B9 for brain development. So help your loved ones support your growth with Cowbell milk, which contains Vitarich in their meals. Cowbell is also available in 5 delicious flavors and available in a shop near you. Cowbell is definitely our milk. Now, in the last 6 months, there have been some instances of MPs being attacked, and I'll share with you just a few of them for tonight. The very latest one is the one that happened at Atwima Nwabieja. The MP Mano Ajay Ashwe was chased out by his constituents at the Amanshia and Kobin communities in the Ashanti region over poor roads, we're told. There are other incidents that happened as well. The majority leader of Osechi Mensabonso not too long ago suffered same. There have been other instances as well that we have seen in the central region. Tonight, we want to answer a very simple question. Why are these MPs under siege? And is it a symptom of a bigger problem that we have to solve? My guest tonight, Dr. Ali Seidu, head of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana. He's joining us tonight in the studio. Doc, been a while. I hope you're well, sir.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Dr. Evans Agre Darko is the Chief Director at the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, joining us via Zoom. Doc, always a pleasure. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Very much for the opportunity, my brother.
Wonderful. And Dr. Rashid Draman is the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Doc, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so I'm in good company with 3 doctors, all with some fine knowledge to share with us on what's going on in Ghana's parliament and for these MPs who are under siege. I guess I'll start with you, Dr. Seidu, with this very latest incident that happened at Achimangwa. The MP went out to go speak to constituents about what happened in the House during the time that they were here, to developmental projects that they are seeking to bring to the community. The constituents will not have any of it. They chased him, essentially complaining that what he had promised earlier had not come to them. It even got to a point where one of them was wielding a machete. He had to be whisked away out of the community. First off, looking at this specific case in point, what is going wrong? Are MPs under siege?
Thank you so much, and good evening to your viewers. I think there are a lot of factors that may contribute to the recent upscale of attacks or the kind of behavior that we see directed towards MPs. I think I'll just speak to 3 of them. I know there are other competent panel members who can do a lot of justice to the issue. I think the first has to do with, 1, misrepresentation of the work of the MP. 2, misperception of the role of the MP. And then 3, the current economic crisis, the global, general Ghanaian kind of economic situations that we find ourselves. First is the misperception of the role of the MP. The MP can be an agent of development. The MP can lobby developmental projects, can lobby assembly and follow up MMDAs to bring development, can network with other people and colleagues and institutions and NGOs to bring development. So by and large, the role of the MP can be an agent of development, but not necessarily as the core foundation of development. So over the years, people have misperceived the role of the MP in terms of the kind of developmental projects that the MP can do. Sometimes if you look at the kind of demands that is even made to our MPs, we tend to see that they are not cut for it.
But are they not victims of pretty much they going to promise that they will do these very same things?
So that is my second. That is my second. That's the misrepresentation.
Yes.
So I talk about misperception and misrepresentation. So I'm discussing the misperception.
Okay.
People perceive that MPs can do so much, but that is also born out of the misrepresentation of the work of the MP, sometimes by the MPs themselves, that they go out there because it is a highly competitive zero-sum game. They want to win at all costs, and because of that, they tend to say things that they know they can't do, or things that may be very difficult for them to do, simply because they want to win elections. And when you misrepresent your function and tell people things you want to do that you are not necessarily supposed to do, or you will not be able to do, or you may not get the resources to do, then it becomes a problem when you are not able to deliver on all those things that you have promised to do if you are not able to do it. But I think it has also been heightened by the current circumstances that we have found ourselves. Global level economic dynamics, and which is affecting almost all countries, including Ghana. So it kind of affects the ability of resources that is available and can be allocated to MPs to be able to do some of this work. And for that matter, sometimes the resources may delay, sometimes it is not even readily available. NGOs and donor partners and development agencies that they could have relied on to be able to help, some of them are even cash strapped. So it becomes very difficult for them to be able to get the kind of resources that they wish they would have been able to get, and that had influenced the kind of promises that they have made. But also too, because of the current economic crisis, people are really hot, and when he has called you several times and you promise to do this and you're not able to do, when you come to them to speak to them or even explain to them why it's difficult for you to do it, some of them get angry. And the last video that I saw, it wasn't very good at all. Not just that they were hooting at him or they were insulting him. People were wielding machete, and they were, I believe, willing to use it against their MP. So I think there were a variety of factors, but I'll just limit it to these three, and then my colleagues will add their way. So it's misperception of the role of the MP, misrepresentation of the role of the MP, but also the current economic circumstances has heightened all these kind of challenges that we face.
Dr. Drama, let me come to you at this point. This is something that we've touched on for quite a while now. I don't mean the attacks. I mean the friction that exists between the legislator and those that he or she represents. We've seen this happen too many times, but specific to the very latest matter at GHOne News, are you surprised by the turn of events that constituents could go as far as holding machetes to chase their member of parliament?
Yes, I think I was not surprised at the fact that the constituents were angry with their member of parliament, but the wielding of machete, I think, is something that is new, and that is the thing that surprised me in this latest attack on an MP. But let me, Francis, let me go back to the question that you posed to the professor in terms of what is really going on. And I would like to right on his last point. I mean, the current crisis that all of us are going through, all our countries and all of us are a part of. What we are seeing in terms of constituent reaction and voter reaction to their members of parliament is an immediate outburst that has been occasioned by these challenges that we all face. And for citizens that voted a member of parliament, I think that the first point of, if you like, raising their concerns and so on, is a member of parliament who has put himself or herself up for election and they elected the person. But I think beyond the kind of immediate symptom, immediate challenge of the global kind of crisis, I think there is, the failure of what I call promissory representation. We live in a system where every 4 years, I think there is a lineup of all kinds of promises that are made by parties, by individual, potential MPs and so on. And once you get elected, you have to keep those promises or you incur the wrath of the people. Over the years, many MPs have gotten over this, but it looks like the voter is getting more and more sophisticated. And the future and the legitimacy of our democracy, I think, is going to be defined by whether or not those who put themselves up for elections keep the promises that they make. Regrettably, Francis, I think we live in a world beyond our own space. I think across different countries on the continent where, this failure of promissory representation is creating a crisis of trust. A crisis of trust and a crisis of absenteeism when it comes to citizens showing up to honor their civic obligations. Just recently in Kenya, the last few weeks, we saw what happened. The voter turnout was very, very low. And when you probe into this, as well as many other examples, I think it is this trust issue that exists, where many people are thinking, the promissory representation that we have has failed, has not delivered, and MPs, parties, and so on make promises, and they don't deliver on those promises. I know there are so many other factors that cause these, including some of what the professor mentioned, the competitive nature of our democracy and so on. There's a joke that I tell on this issue. One day in Malawi, we had a town hall meeting on this same issue about how members of parliament disappear from their voters because of the fact that they are questioning on the promises that they make when they need votes from the electorate. And one MP said, if you don't make the promise, your competitor will make that promise and they will vote for him. And so we would continue to make those promises. But like you rightly said, those promises come back to haunt them. And now we are seeing more and more of that, because if people start pulling out machetes, perhaps it's going to rein in potential MPs and future candidates in terms of the kind of promises that they make. Okay. Really, I think that is not in their domain to make those kind of promises.
Okay, Dr. Evans Agredak, let me come to you now. You are the Chief Director for the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. I'm sure many of these reports may have come to your notice. It's a worrisome development. Today, it's the MP for Akwemama. About a month ago or a few weeks ago, in fact, in July, it was the majority leader, Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, who's the minister as well for Parliamentary Affairs. In March, it was the Akemodan MP, Alexander Akwesiakwa, escaped the mob attack as supporters stormed his residence, again over unfulfilled promises. And then in March this year, 7th March, it was the MP for Akime-Buakwa South, Samuel Atachia, nearly mobbed for not fulfilling campaign promises made to the people. Now, for you, what's the problem? How come we're reaching almost a tipping point? Doc, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a very disturbing development. Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
I'm saying that it's a disturbing development, and we need to, it's a very disturbing development, and we need to figure out what it is that we can do to address the critical problems. And as my colleagues have indicated, we signed up to democracy in 1992. We all decided to revisit. We'll go back to democratic form of government. It comes with a lot of responsibilities, and of course, we always argue that there are rights, there are responsibilities, and how are we able to strike the balance between the rights and responsibilities? A number of things must be brought to the fore, apart from what my colleagues have indicated. What has been the critical role of the underdevelopment agents, especially at the district assemblies, for instance? To what extent have they been able to, with their discussions and other things and their interventions, really address the critical problems confronting our society? What has been the role of the states, the developmental states that we have? And you argue that the structure of our system is quite weak. Yes, we have to work at it. The developmental state that we want to craft is still very weak. We still have to work at it. We still have to look at the accountability mechanisms that we have in our system. What we see is that, when you go to the constituency, the MP is the only person whose face is on the ballot, for instance. And therefore, if there are major difficulties within the constituency, certainly he will be the target. But I think that there are others that must also share in the responsibility. But democratic accountability will have it that those who have actually indicated their willingness to lead us, because one way of ensuring that democracy works is also having good quality representation. And then, of course, riding on what Alidu, the head of political science, had indicated, that what is our own understanding, our own appreciation of what the role of the MP must be. Of course, it's also a function of the type of promises that you make. And that is why sometimes you see a yawning gap between expectation and performance, because sometimes you win and realize that a number of the things are not within your remit. But fundamentally, we need to be able to, it speaks to a larger issue of the state and what is it that the state can do. And to the extent that if we are able to move past the survival level, for instance, and address a lot of the critical gaps that we have in terms of infrastructure gap, making sure that people can keep their heads above water, basic things, etc. Of course, governments since creation have come under new and wide demand. So certainly people will come under demands. So that's a fact of life. But to what extent do we have the capacity? For instance, to meet the funding gap that we have. How are we able to rake in enough revenue from within, for instance? How are we broadening the tax net to the extent that we can mobilize the resources, adequate resources, to be able to intervene in some of the critical areas, so to keep people's heads above water, basically. Okay. So these are the gamut of issues that must be considered. But certainly, physical attacks should not be one of the ways by which we want to put pressure on our leaders so they can address some of the critical things. Just a point of interest, my brother. I've just been analyzing the questions that the MPs pose to the MPs. And I've taken a look at the last 4 years or so. I'll tell you in authority, more than 90% of those questions are constituency-related questions. Good roads here, is it electricity here, pipe or water, among others. So fundamentally, if we cannot argue, that the MPs don't care at all. But as a matter of fact, as I indicated, most of the questions, and if we are talking about something in a neighborhood of 95%, then that says a lot. That is a preponderance. That's a lot. Okay, I mean 95%. So these are the dynamics, but we are operating within a system that the state hasn't been able to develop that capacity to respond to the new and wide demands that are coming. We need to engage the system, but certainly I would say that personal attacks
should not be the way to go.
One of the options that we
Gentlemen, I want us to look at this from another prism before we look at the deeper problem. It's about the fact that all these attacks we've seen in the last 6 months are all MPs who are in the majority. 2 of them are from the Ashanti region, known as the World Bank of the NPP, the administration of the day, on whose ticket executive power was achieved, also the parliamentary majority was also achieved. What does that say about the reaction of the people towards governance? Because in essence, these things that they're asking for roads, for infrastructure, are at the base things that the executive or the government should be providing. Now, if the MPs are taking the fall or the attacks because of these things that are not happening, is that not also a verdict passed by the constituents who are up in arms and agitating about the performance of the government of the day in meeting the needs of the people? Dr. Sid, let me start with you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think Dr. Agidako made a very important point about context. You see, we live in a democracy, and democracy affords people the opportunity to be able to address their grievances in a very democratic manner. So one of the ways that citizens have the right to demand accountability from their representatives, MPs, but also from the broader government of the state, to be able to deliver goods and services that they had promised to do, but also which is also part of the mandate of government to deliver. So one of the mechanisms that we are adopting will not yield the kind of results that we want. And the idea is that MPs are bearing the brunt more because the people think the MPs are their representative to the House of Legislature to participate in the distribution of national resources and the allocation of same, which must benefit them. So first of all, if you have an MP and you think that development are not coming to you and you attack the MP directly in that case, it wouldn't bring you development. But what I think they should do is to dialogue with them and make sure and demand accountability that their demands, or their challenges are brought to bear on the state. Then that brings us to the second question of state capacity. Francis, state capacity. The state has a lot to do. So there are unlimited demands on the state. But the resources to be able to deliver those demands are sometimes doesn't meet the kind of demands that go into the political system. So in most cases, states will rely on collaborative effort with other states and other stakeholders and the philanthropy and voluntary sector to be able to help. And to be honest with you, the context, the global economic dynamics, like I've mentioned, is very critical in determining. There are a lot of funding that were coming to government. There are a lot of collaborative things that were going on. Yes. That has all been stopped simply because of the funding from the other side of the world. So I'm not saying that we should not demand accountability. Even if you have to do that, it should be within the context of democracy. But I also think that like all my other colleagues have mentioned, our MPs have to be very careful in assessing capacity by their own capacity as representatives of the people, but also the state capacity to be able to help them deliver those kind of things. I was also thinking that the MMDAs should also be brought into the picture.
That's what I was coming to.
Because by and large, they are the agents of development, just like the MPs, but they have the authority, and the developmental resources are allocated to them to be able to do that. And by and large, they map up the needs of the citizens into a short, long, medium-term development plans that goes into the NDPC's planning, and resources allocated for same. So I think they should also be held to account, not just the MPs at the end of the day.
In this context, okay. I'll let Dr. Draman and Dr. Agridako share their thoughts with me on this particular aspect. But before that, may I remind you that this show is brought to you with the kind of sponsorship of MTN. MTN is everywhere you go, and Cowbell our milk. If you need to make an urgent call but you realize you don't have credit, there's a means by which that problem can be solved by MTN, because you can go on and get some extra time, borrow some extra time to make that call, and then afterwards top up. All you have to do is to dial star 506 hash, and then you get to borrow credit on MTN extra time. The best part is that you can also borrow data by dialing the same star 506 hash, and then you can bundle data whenever you run out to continue browsing as always. MTN is everywhere you go. Your conversations don't need to end when you run out of credit, because MTN has got you sorted with extra time. Also, Cowbell has the best for you in nourishing your family, be it your children or be it the adults. And they've got Cowbell milk in varied 5 different delicious flavors that you can enjoy. You can get some in every shop you can find in your locality. Cowbell is definitely our milk. Also, there's a solid partnership made easy with Star Life Assurance. Get insurance anytime, anywhere with Star Life Assurance. Let's go for a short break now. When we return, I will engage Dr. Draman and Dr. Agridako on where we go from here. Yes, they are agitating, but how do we solve this problem once and for all? Is it about time we get back to the conversation of having our assembly leaders elected so the pressure is divided? It goes in both directions. We will look at it after the break. Stay with us.
William Kofi, the CEO of AdPharma Limited. We are an organization that is always seeking innovative solutions to make our operations easy. So when our insurance agent recommended Pukuya Chat to insure from Star Assurance, we did not hesitate to try it. I can tell you the process was seamless and 100% visual with no human intervention. You simply save number 0242426160 and start your chat with Pukuya.